Now then, people, it's Joe, it's all Leeds TV, and it is time for another episode of Monday Night Football, Monday Night Live, I think it is. But listen, we're starting something new now. The plan moving forward is, obviously, normally it was just a chance to just chat about, everything Leeds United related. But, with the post-matches, etc. coming out and the massive list of Leeds United content creators that we have available at our disposal as Leeds United fans. We are very, very lucky. I thought we would start getting a few guests in from that world, and we've started with the one and only. They're not the best, but they're in the top one. I would say they're in the top one. We've got Gareth from Talking Short. How are you, mate? All right.
I'm very good, lads. Thanks for having me on. It's a pleasure to be asked. It's a pleasure.
Yeah, I've got high standards. I hold Gaz up here in terms of his his way to be able to bring people in and that. So I'm trying to get to that level. So I'll have to be on my best skills tonight. How are you, Oscar?
I'm good, mate. I'm still recovering from yesterday. To be fair, unreal, just unreal, wasn't it?
Great.
Could not be any more perfect, could it? I mean, the chief Muppet just gets the winner in like the last 4 minutes. Unreal, mate.
Could you turn you down a bit, Oscar? Because I can hear myself as I talk.
Is that better, mate?
Yeah, that's better. It'll probably be me, mate. You know what I'm like, Techno Joe. I'm always having technical difficulties. It's an absolute nightmare. But we'll start, like I say, everyone who's watching, who's tuning in, if you could smash a like, please share and subscribe. And if you're watching on Twitter, please retweet it so we can get that out there and more people involved. We've got the Liverpool-Arsenal game on in the background. We're going to chat about Leeds United, Sheffield United. And of course, we're just going to have sort of like a whistle-stop tour of the game week 3 results in the Premier League. We've got loads to get our teeth into anyway, so it should be a good chat. But we'll start. Obviously, you've seen mine and Oscar's reactions after that Yorkshire derby yesterday. So I just wanted to open it up to Gaz and get his thoughts on yesterday's result.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, as everybody knows, I work down in Sheffield, so I've kind of been behind enemy lines for a week and speaking to a few at Blades and just saying, on the face of things, your results have not been great. What's being cracked like? And to be fair to them, they were saying that, they'd been concerned that they'd lost the mojo a little bit since COVID. And going into the game, I think I said I saw it 1 goal either way. I didn't quite predict 1-0, but I think I went 2-1 either way. And do you know what? I think it lived up to billing. It were a tough game. I think we probably wouldn't have had much to argue about if the result had been the other way around and they beat us 1-0. But do you know, like that? I feel like there's so many positives to take out of the game as well. I mean, a clean sheet. I thought Robin Koch were absolutely immense. Stuart Dallas were absolutely immense, and Ilan Meslier making crucial saves, top saves, like world class saves. When he probably, I think he said himself, felt like he could have done a little bit better with some of the goals against Fulham. I thought it were a game of sort of hit for hit. I do think that Sheffield United had the better chances, really, and they'll be disappointed that they didn't take them. I mean, Lundstrom's probably should do a little bit better with it. Robinson's, when it comes across the box, again, he should do a little bit better with it. But you know what? That's how it goes in the Premier League. You don't take your chances. You stand getting them up it to score with 4 minutes to go and winning it. And Wilder having to cry himself to sleep. So all in all, loads and loads of good positives. Paddy Bamford set off the season like an house on fire. Yeah. I thought he were excellent again yesterday. To a man, the team were excellent. And again, it's just another 3 points on board, isn't it? And that's at minute. Just keep ticking them away. 3 points, 3 points, 3 points, and see where we go.
Yeah, definitely. Who was your man of the match, Gaz?
At the time, I went Meslier, but I think it was a little bit of an emotional response from seeing them amazing saves. I've watched both matches of the day 2 and the game back again. And do you know what? Probably Stuart Dallas. I'd have to agree with Darren Fletcher on match of day 2. He was literally everywhere. I mean, me and Raggy joked on our watch along that he just kept popping up in like the right wing position or the central position or wherever. And he was just phenomenal. And just before I came on, I tweeted out from Talking Shut that it's incredible that him and Luke Ayling cost us a total of about £1.5 million. And they both don't look out of place in the Premier League so far. I mean, long way to go. We can easily get carried away. But yeah, loads and loads of good stuff to be positive about. And I thought as well, one player I was keen to see, and I thought Rodrigo did really well when he came on. He looked a lot more confident. He linked the play better than we did before. And I said on Talking Short, I felt he'd been a little bit unlucky. He got chucked in cold, early on in the season. Then we chucked him in against Hull, where we never really had a foothold in the game. And, I'm just glad he came on and had a good about 35 minutes before Bale took him off again. But no, do you know what, lads? Like, on the face of things, 3 points is all that really matters, whether it were a grind or not. But again, it could have gone either way. And Wilder, in between his tears and moaning, I think he had a point that they could have won it. I don't think they should have won it, but they could have won it. Good Yorkshire derby, to be honest. First one back at Premier League for 16 years, and I enjoyed it,
Yeah, I loved it, man. I agree with you. I seen Match of the Day 2 yesterday. Well, to be fair, I wasn't going to bother. And then it was all over Twitter, and I was like, oh, what's Fletcher saying here? It was actually trending. I was like, oh, look at this. And it was class. I know I've just seen it. I think your man Raggy on of Talking Short said he's seen him all over. He thought he was going to turn up in pisser alongside him when he went for the toilet. I don't know if you've seen that. It had me creased when I seen that. But yeah, Stuart Dallas was everywhere. It's mad as well because I think me and Oscar spoke about it last week. It was only last week that I was seeing people saying we need a specialist left back and he's knee good and we need to bring another body in. And then he went and had, I mean, whether or not you can put that down to the system or whatever, but for me, we've got what we need right there. He gives us everything. And he's like we've said before, Jack Harrison, etc., he's one of them players that whatever he's asked to do, he will do. Don't you agree, Oscar? I mean, he was immense, wasn't he?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, we were saying, weren't we, after that Fulham game, all the stuff we were getting, like comments and tweets and that. Like, I know Leeds Twitter is very emotional. It goes from one game to another. If Paddy Bamford has a poor game the next game, it'll be back on his back kind of thing. And that's just the way it is, isn't it, sometimes? But yeah, I thought the Stuart Dallas criticism was pretty harsh, after that Fulham one. I know he didn't have a great game against Fulham, but, there's a couple of defenders who didn't play particularly well against Fulham, and that's the thing, it's one game. Yesterday, just saw Dallas. Who do you want more in the Yorkshire derby than Stuart Dallas, really? I mean, a Yorkshire derby, a game like that, we've got to roll your sleeves up.
Yorkshireman?
Be everywhere. Well, yeah, Yorkshireman or the Cookstown Café. You know what I mean, though? It's like, he's someone you want in a game like that. You know what I mean? Just, you can talk about your specialist left backs all you want. That is who you want in that kind of game. Someone who can just slot in. As Gareth was saying, he was on the right wing sometimes. He was up front. I mean, that chance he had, he took it around the keeper. It's like thinking, what Stuart Dallas is this? He's just took the ball around the keeper. He didn't finish it, but the fact he got in that position just shows how much he was everywhere. He could have even got a goal yesterday. He was immense yesterday.
He was class. I've seen a few people putting in the comments about Harrison not playing. That's not a thing, right? Harrison is playing on Saturday. He's not.
No, can't play against his loan club.
Really? I thought that wasn't a thing. That's shite then, because he's in effect our player, right? Because obviously we've sort of already agreed to sign him. It was 8 and now it's 10. So in that case, then that makes a good point. Who will come in then to replace Jack? Do you think will it be Alioski or go on, Gaz?
I think he'll go with Alioski on Saturday purely because of his energy and his work rate. And I didn't know how much of him putting Juan Poveda on for the last 15 minutes was a little bit of a litmus test just to see how he'd get on. But I still think he'll probably go with Alioski on Saturday against City. I think it'll be Dallas at left back and Alioski on left hand side of midfield. I think that's the way he'll go.
What did you think to Poveda's cameo? Because Oscar will tell you, I wasn't a fan at the time. I thought he was trying too much. He pissed me off a bit. We've got to take it into context. He's a young lad who's bounced around a load of academies, and yesterday was his first Premier League Premier League appearance. And he's a little bit like an excitable child. Anyway, he just wants to be the one that scores the goals, and I like that about him. Maybe as he settles down and grows into it a little bit more, then we'll kind of start seeing a bit more of an end product. I mean, he does great things, but then occasionally he has a bit of a brain fart, doesn't he? Right in the final third when it needs a little drop off or a shot a bit earlier or something. But do you know what? I'd much rather have him in and around the lads than not, if that makes sense. So I think
I think the talent is there, definitely, undoubtedly. And he's one for the future, and he's a grower. And working with Costa and working with Bielsa and Harrison and whoever else we decide to bring in an attacking front, it's only going to benefit him and bring him on. And as he settles in a little bit to playing Premier League football, be it from the bench, then hopefully them decisions will come the right way rather than a little bit excitable.
Yeah, definitely. Like I say, we've all spoken it, and I know Gaz will be touching on Sheffield United on Wednesday when Talkit shuts on as well. So I don't want to do too much on it, but I tell you what, I do want to talk about. I'm going to start with you, Oscar. Obviously, I'm going to murder his name here, but I've seen you put a few bits on social media. You do like your European football. We've been linked with. Help me out here.
Cousins.
Yeah.
I don't know, something like that. Call him Michael. Who's calling Michael?
Yeah, Mike.
Mike, Big Mike. French Mike, we'll call him. But look, I like him, to be fair.
Michel might be easier.
Michel, we'll call Michel. Yeah, I mean, it's one of them. We've not seen tons of him, but in terms of the description, you need up some bits and pieces about him. I mean, it sounds like what we need, a bit of like a upgraded forward short to an extent. Someone who's got that bit of energy to get up and down the pitch. I like the fact he's a left pegger as well. He's on his left foot. Maybe he brings a bit more balance. Playing alongside Click and that lot. But I like this one, mate. I'm very surprised though that it's a permanent by the sounds of things. I think 18 mil has been discussed. Obviously, you'd think Bayern would probably just want to load into us for a season and then take him back, but maybe not. Maybe they just think get rid. But who knows, mate? It's one of them. But
what do you make to him having a fight with Lewandowski in training? That's what when I read that, I was like, he'll do for Leeds. Get him over here.
Let him know.
Yeah.
Probably having a row about 1975, weren't they? I think Couchance has just clocked him one, hasn't he?
Yeah. But Gaz, what are your thoughts? Like I put out on Twitter last night, right? If we get Couchance in, if that's how you pronounce it, and Todd Cantwell, and a lot of people said, "Oh, well, it's a similar sort of position," but I see Bielsa looking at Cantwell as maybe a winger, possibly. I don't know what you guys think. But if we were to get them two in, as opposed to paying 35 million for Rodrigo de Paul, do you see it as good business? I mean, what do you think to Cantwell, first of all?
I don't want to drop a soundbite here and go, yeah, it's amazing, because then if they flop, it'll come back to bite me in the ass. But do you know what? When I saw the count, I got a message off someone saying Leeds are in for Cantwell, and I was like, it just looks like another one of them links. And then shortly after, it got kind of announced that that we'd put a bid in or whatever. And I spent a bit of time on Sunday after the game watching some footage of him and stuff like that. And he's a bit Jack Grealish the way he plays a little bit. He's young. He's undoubtedly talented. His attitude comes into question a little bit when you see some of his YouTube stuff and his Twitter and his Instagram. But do you know what? He's a young lad. If there's ever a club that line that out, it'll be the senior players in our squad and Marcelo Bielsa's staff that line that out. But I get the feeling it's Cantwell or Cousin and a mystery winger. Whoever the mystery winger might be. Obviously, Dan James has been much mentioned, but I'm sure that Victor Orta will have another option to Dan James if he isn't the option. Cousin, do you know what? I was all aboard the Rodrigo hype train, Rodrigo de Paul hype train when it first came out. Because you look at him and you think, yeah, he's exactly what we need. Carries the ball forward, incisive passing, can score a goal. He's got nice leg tattoos. He's got a bit of a six pack. All the things that we desperately need. Looks like me and you, Joe. Yeah, all the things we desperately need at Leeds right now. But do you know what? We've also got to bear in mind that Leeds will have a budget. They'll have a structure, a financial structure that they want the signings to fit into. And we've been here before. We've been here where we paid whatever amount for Seth Johnson when we didn't really need to. And we've kind of been here before. And I just feel that I'm disappointed that we haven't got Rodrigo de Paul, because he does have the makings of an exciting player. But I also think that the club have bought themselves enough trust from us fans at the minute by getting last season so very right. And, we brought Costa in last year for big money and he got a bit of a slate in last year, but then this season he looks the player that we thought we'd signed. And I just think we've got to kind of believe the process, believe in Bielsa. I know it's very cliche and very sort of cheesy, but I just think that we've got no reason to distrust the club at the minute. So we've kind of got to buy into it. You know, they've been signed a German international, a Spanish international centre-back. You know, if they choose to go for, you know, Cousin, Cantwell or whoever else, then I'll be all on board with it, because no player comes into Leeds United without being signed off by Bielsa. So that's that.
Do you know what? I was just like, ooh, in there, because Mane really should score, to be fair. I think it's a ball in. I don't know if you are watching.
Yeah, he should. That now.
Yeah,
chance that.
Straight down Leeds.
Football's took a battering there, you know. Need to score that.
Do you know what? I was talking to my brother earlier on about Llorente coming in. And how's he going to play? Like, what I don't understand is that he's at the peak of his powers in terms of age for a defender. You know, he's hitting that peak time. And I was thinking about it today, because I remember we spoke last week, Oscar, talking about Gvardiol and spending 20 million on a player that's going to sit on the bench. And in effect, I was happy with the Llorente deal. And now I've had time to think about it. I'm like, right, it's a similar sort of situation, similar sort of outlay for someone who's going to sit on the bench. And I just don't see, especially after Koch's performance on Saturday, I thought he was absolutely immense. Where does he fit in, Llorente? Go on, what?
I mean, you look at the Llorente. You say, obviously before Sunday, you know, when Koch has just turned into, like, I don't know, prime Maldini. Just for
watch
just
it. Like you call, what did you call? You called Cooper Baresi once, didn't you?
I did. Yeah,
watch it.
Right, he can be Maldini, but how good was he yesterday? I mean,
he was.
Absolutely unreal. But that's the thing. I mean, you know, before that performance, you're probably saying, okay, Koch has had 2 okay first games. You know, he's given away the penalties, but he's played okay. You think, you know, got that competition now. But I know, like yesterday, it makes it like a waste. It makes it like a complete waste of money, doesn't it, mate? To be honest, you know, when you see Cooper and Koch play like that, I don't think you drop anyone. I don't think you drop them for anyone at the minute. You know, carry on like that. But thing is, though, if one of those gets injured, you know, all of a sudden you've got no real senior out and out centre backs, unless you count Stewart. But again, no proper senior option. So I'm still happy with it, to be honest, mate. I do think he's a top player and could get himself into the team. But the only trouble is there's no League Cup games now. So in terms of minutes, it's going to be purely probably for the under-23s, isn't it? Which is one of them. But you know what? If we need to bring him in at some point, I feel confident he can do the job.
And go on, Gaz. Like, let's say, for example, hypothetically, no one does get injured. What happens then?
I think it's a really clever deal by club. I think it not future-proofs, but gives a bit of contingency planning towards Koch. Because we've got to remember, Koch is only 22. He's only still a young player, still developing. He's in a new league entirely in the Premier League. Yes, he's got 5 international caps for Germany. Yes, he's got, you know, lots of Bundesliga experience. But, you know, there might come a point where if he drops out of form or, you know, or gets an injury or ends up getting suspended because, you know, he likes a penalty. And plus, as well, the other side of it is if you've got Llorente breathing down your neck, who's to say that yesterday's performance weren't a direct correlation with of signing Llorente, as in Koch saying, no, I'm keeping this position now. It's mine to come and take. And, you know, you've got a 27-year-old Spanish international breathing down your neck. It's only going to, for me, make competition for places between them two a good thing for the team ultimately. And I think if Koch loses his shirt, then Llorente will play. Bielsa has no problem with that. And vice versa. And I only see it as a positive, to be honest. And you're like, it's easy to get sentiment with players, isn't it? I know we're keen with Rodrigo. There were a lot of stuff saying Rodrigo should have started instead of Tyler on Sunday in the 10. And I understand why, you know, he's coming with a big bill and stuff. And us as fans, we get attached to players, don't we? But I think that from a team point of view, having 2, you know, excellent centre-backs on paper is only a benefit. And then you've got Struijk and Cooper kind of freshening out as well for that other centre back, because they're kind of like for like, if you like. I only see it as a good thing, and he'll have been well aware that he's going to have to come in and fight for his place. And I think it's only a good thing, to be honest.
No, you're right, and you make a great point on the Rodrigo thing. I said exactly the same on our watch along. I says, look, I just want to see Rodrigo because we know he can do bits. He spins number 9. He comes with that thing, you know what I mean? He comes with that being our record signing in effect. So you want to see more. And I think the cameo that he did make, as I say, was pivotal to getting that ball out to Harrison before it was pinged in. But yeah, I mean, I just, before we move on and have a chat about some of the other Premier League games around, the EPL, what are your thoughts ahead of? I mean, when I look at games, guys, I chunk them up, and I looked at the first three, and I'd said, and people who watch the channel will know, I said if we can get 6 points from that first three, it's huge, and we've managed to do that. My next chunk, how I've looked at it, is City Wolves both at home before I look at what comes next. What do you see us getting out, if anything, from them two? I think it's positive they're both at home, but how do you see them two going?
I think ideal for me is 3 points, but realistically, a point from either of them two, I think it isn't the end of the world, to be honest. I think 2 points is not quite as good as 3 points, but it'd be an excellent return from them two games, I feel, because I think Wolves are a great side, and they'll prove a challenge for us and City, obviously our City. So, do you know what? Going into the City game, I said it before the Liverpool game, and a few people shot me down on Twitter. A little bit of a free hit, and the thing is, we can go there off the back of beating Fulham and beating Sheffield United and pushing Liverpool close, and go there with no fear. We'll play our game, and we'll definitely play our game. And Sky will hype the living daylights out of it because it's Bielsa versus Guardiola. Yeah. And you know what I mean? We can probably go and play with no pressure. And the thing is, the pressure's all on City. They've just got dicked 5-2, and they'll be expected to come out and play against us because at the end of the day, we're a newly promoted side and they're a team fighting for the title. And in a kind of way, that'll probably suit us the way that it did with Liverpool coming out. The difference is obviously the golfing class in player. So I'm really interested to see Kevin De Bruyne up against Calvin. I think that'll be a great battle, to be honest.
Yeah, that's what we're here for. And I think, I'm shitting myself for it, if I'm being totally honest. We've got a bit of a wounded animal now in City, but we'll have to wait and see. But I guess that segues us on nicely, actually, and we'll start with yesterday, Oscar. The 5-2 win from Leicester, an absolute drubbing. 3 terrible penalties to give away, if I'm being totally honest. Catalogue of errors defensively. Aguero and Jesus both missing. I think Vardy, I was saying to you guys just off air, it's the first time that Pep Guardiola team has conceded 5 goals against them, and he's had like over 686 managerial games. So that's quite a stat. What do you make to City? What do you think's going wrong? Is it just due to the bodies missing, or?
Yeah, I think it's a bit of everything, isn't it, really? I think obviously they had no real proper centre-back in that team yesterday. I had to start with Garcia, who's still a young kid, really, and obviously Ake, new signing, so there wasn't really much serious leadership there at the back, in terms of up against Vardy. Because for me, Vardy, I think I said yesterday, he's a Premier League legend, in terms of centre-forwards now, in terms of his achievements for that Leicester team, consistency, for a team where he's not getting tons of chances compared to other strikers, unbelievable. So you need a leader at the back there. And for me, obviously, they had Lampard missing. I think they're about to sign Ruben Diaz from Benfica, which is probably going to be a good signing for him. Probably try and play Diaz and Lampard together. But it was a combination of everything. Because to be fair, City at 1-1, I just saw City winning it, to be honest. I did not see it going the way it did. And even at 2-1, 3-1, they had chances to come back into it, and they just didn't take them. And obviously a big thing as well was no Aguero, no Jesus, so no natural centre forward. So, as much as Sterling can play there, it's not quite the same. I think Sterling, you want Sterling out wide, really, taking on the fullback. And it was just a bit of everything, mate. I think obviously they took Fernandinho off, which is a big, big, big mistake because it just left him completely open. And
they brought him on. They brought the kid Delap on, didn't they, Rory?
Yeah. That was an interesting one, wasn't it? Obviously, I know he played well in the midweek, but to trust him in a game like that at 1-1 is pretty fair play, to be fair. But it didn't work for him, though, to be fair. And I think Leicester's finishing. I mean, that Maddison goal, Leicester. I'll tell you what, Leicester will have I think obviously they're playing in Europe this season too, so that's probably going to affect them a bit. But they're still a good team, Leicester. I know they fell away last season, but they're still going to be definitely top half and probably top 8 for me.
Even Vardy's penalties were absolutely unreal. Like, even if Edison gets his hands on him, he's probably breaking his wrists. They were hit with that much venom and that much pace. Like, that's how I love a penalty to be taken. Me, just smash, laces through it, top bins, bam, see you later. It was some real penalties. But do we know if City is still going to be without Aguero, Jesus, Laporte? Like, what do we know if they're going to be out on the weekend?
I think Aguero's definitely out. I think he's like a 2-month job. I think Aguero.
Lacazette scored for Arsenal.
He has as well.
Goal,
yeah, Lacazette. Wow.
That's a big goal. Talking of like the title race, that's a big goal, isn't it? But yeah, I think Aguero's definitely out. I think Jesus might be back. I don't know, but Laporte's definitely back. I think he was just out because he had COVID like a couple of weeks ago, and they were still kind of isolating him, and he wasn't fully fit. So I'd expect it's probably going to be Diaz and Laporte, probably a completely new look back four against us, to be fair. But I think, to be fair, it's a bit of a shame we didn't play him this week. You know, with such a makeshift back four.
Yeah.
You know, it might have been. You know, it's one of them. And as you said, you know, they come back as the wounded animal, and on their day, they can beat anyone by 5 or 6. You know, they beat Liverpool 4-0 last year. They can beat anyone, and that's the thing we've got to take.
Yeah, no, definitely. We'll just have another look. Did any of you see the obviously Scum getting a penalty after the final whistle blew? What are your thoughts on that, Gaz?
Well, it's just typical Scum, really, isn't it? But do you know something? That rule is absolutely killing the game. I mean, like, what's Dyer expected to do? He's got his back turned. He's headed directly at his arm. What you know? But I don't know. I mean, it's funny because it's Scum, but you know that rule needs to be changed. It's appalling. It's killing the game. I mean, how many penalties have we seen since the season started? I've never known it to be anything like this. I mean, obviously we've been on the receiving end as well. But yeah, I mean, Man United. Yeah, I mean, I actually worry that they'll sack Solskjaer and get a good coach in, because the team that they've got there should be doing a lot better than it is. But he seems to be obsessed with just putting as many attacking players in as he possibly can and hope that something's going to work out and like it'll just iron itself out eventually. I'm not sure. I mean, you know, the tactical people around will probably be able to see what he's trying to achieve. But for me, he just seems to stick as many attacking players on there. And defensively with Lindelof and Blockhead, they're quite poor. In all honesty. Yeah, I mean, you know, I hope he still is in charge, because I'd love to see Harrison against Luke Shaw when we come to play that, because I think he could have him on toast. I know he gets a lot of stick about his weight, and it's one apiece in that game.
One apiece, yeah, man.
I know he gets a lot of stick about his weight, but I think Harrison could have him on toast, to be honest. So, I don't know, but going back to your original point, yeah, the Brighton game, they get lucky because Brighton played really well. It pains me to say it just because of how much crying their fans did because we dared look at their girlfriend in Ben White in the summer. You know, Brighton looked great. To be fair, they've looked really good. Defensively strong, look amazing on counter attack with Trossard and Morpie again, another knobhead. My French. I do bear a grudge a little bit, to be honest. So yeah, that rule needs to change. It's bullshit.
Yeah, it's brutal, mate. And like you said, I mean, just Man United was so bad. So bad. I was listening to something earlier, right? He is doing a bit of homework, yeah? Brighton hit the woodwork 5 times, and it's the first time ever in the Premier League since Opta started that's happened. Do you know what I mean? So it shows they lived a charmed life, and they were also given a penalty after the fecking final whistle blew. You know, they didn't deserve no. And I know Scum have got some tough games coming up. I think they've got Spurs, Newcastle, Chelsea, Arsenal. You know, so like you say, Ollie might be out of a job by then.
Yeah, but mate, they've got the best midfielders in the world, there, mate. They've got Pogba and Fernandes. You know, they're absolutely fantastic, apparently. But that's the thing, you know, as Gaz was saying, they throw all these players on, you know, all these number 10s, wingers, strikers, etc. It's chaos. You know, you watch them and you think they're absolutely shocking. Like, you know, as you're saying, Brighton, they're absolutely. You know, I know they've got tough games coming up, but a better team than Brighton, more clinical, absolutely buries them in the first half. Before
like a Leeds United
score. On our day, you know what? The problem is we're not playing them for ages yet. 3 months down the line, you don't know what's going to happen between now and then. That if Solskjaer, if it carries on like that, I can't see him staying much longer. I think him and Lampard are in the race.
We just need more games. And then I don't understand it. It's like he's got no tactical nous whatsoever. He's just saying the lads will play themselves out of trouble, which you would expect in some games, a bit like how Lampard manages for me, in that he's got some top level operators and just tells them to go play. We've seen. I mean, we'll touch on West Brom and Chelsea in a bit. It's just like, for me, he has nothing. He just goes, right, they'll eventually sort themselves out, regardless of how many games they've played. I mean, it's only one less than what Brighton have, for fuck's sake. Do you know what I mean? Let's be honest. And they were dog shite, man. They were dog. How good's young Tariq Lamptey, by the way? Some player.
Yeah, he looks like the wild card signing, doesn't he? This window, really. He's some player.
They've done some great business.
Right. I bet Chelsea are looking over the shoulder now, thinking, I'm not sure we should have really let that kid go.
No, exactly. But like Frank says, they never wanted to be an academy club, as he put it. I never wanted to be an academy club anyway. I mean,
when we get on to Frank, I've got a bit of a rant about Frank, so I'll wait.
That's always, mate. That's always welcome. Any live stream, you always have to have a Lampard rant at some point. It's just like me on show, to be fair. So we're happy at that.
Do you know when I saw the lineup against West Brom the other day, I was kind of like, you've only put Abraham in there to prove that he's still going to put youth in this team. He's got arguably one of the best number 9s in the world in Timo Werner. He's playing him out wide to accommodate Tammy Abrahams to save his own face. You know what I mean? That team, that Chelsea team, again, a bit like Man United, if they had any ounce of tactical knowledge in charge of the team, they'd be a serious threat to this division, because some of the players they've got are absolutely incredible. And he's just a fraud Lampard. All he did at Derby, I joked about it on Twitter last night. I said he does what I do on Football Manager: put the cheat in, buy loads of really good players, just chuck them on pitch in any old position and go, right, there you go, that'll solve it. I just can't for 1 minute see what their style of play is, apart from put all these players on who we spent a lot of money for, and hopefully somebody will do some individual brilliance. And I said at 3-0 down, I said to one of the lads on Twitter, I said, the thing is, they're 3-0 down. They deserve to be 3-0 down, but they'll get dug out from individual brilliance, and that's the only thing that will save them. And ultimately, that's all that happened. What did he do? He took the armband off Thiago Silva and gave it to Absoluqueta. Brought on Hudson-Odoi,
wasn't it? Yeah.
And that was it. I didn't see any sort of tactical change. It was like for like, and it took obviously bombed Alonso, who then had a bit of a paddy by all accounts. And it bugs me how the media blow smoke up his ass. That, look what he did last year. He blooded the youth. No, he had to. And the first chance he got an opportunity to not blood the youth, he spent an absolute fortune bringing in all these top players from around the world. And ultimately, he's probably going to get sacked because they're still not good enough. And they should be. They should be destroying West Brom with that team that they've got there.
Of course.
But nowhere near. Like West Brom. To be honest, West Brom surprised me. I thought West Brom were excellent. I thought Pereira and Diangana were out of this world. They caused them no end of problems, but I don't know. It bugs me. I mean, Chelsea, we've obviously got the rivalry, if you like, but they should be doing better than that. They're an excellent side, or they've got the makings of an excellent side. I mean, even the Thiago Silva deal is just odd in its very infancy. Like, we need a centre back. Oh, I know. Let's go and get this guy who's been trudging about in France at 36 years old because once upon a time he captained Brazil and he's won all these trophies in the Dog and Duck League. It's just ridiculous to think he's going to come in and revolutionise Chelsea's defence.
And this is the arrogance of it, yeah? Like you mentioned there, Pereira, Diangana, Callum Robinson, and playing a high line with a 36-year-old centre-back that can barely move. But that's the arrogance of it, because it's like, I've got all these players, don't care, we'll win anyway. When they went 3 down, he had no ideas. He literally sat there with his hand like a sulking child. Do you know what I mean? And then afterwards, there was no. He just absolutely vilified every single Robertson's made it 2-1 Liverpool. He just blamed all the players as well. Do you know what I mean? I can't legislate for individual errors, etc. You know what I mean, Oscar? He's an absolute cock combo.
Hudson-Odoi saved them. It was him coming on, and bringing a bit of pace into the team. I think he had the beating of that furlong at right back, to be fair, all day long, I thought. And to be fair, I just thought it was his individual brilliance on the day. He just caused so many problems. He kind of pins West Brom back a bit, but and then look at the second goal as well. The second goal was a clear foul in the build-up to it, and I thought that was what VAR was for. And then they didn't even go it back, and they were just I thought West Brom were done to. I thought really that first half performance was excellent, and they're in trouble, Chelsea, because again, like Man United, well, scum, better teams than that, better teams than Brighton and West Brom. If we're going for like a Wolves or a Leicester, would that have absolutely destroyed both teams in the first half, and it had been out of sight. So for me,
I think we'll do, Frank. I think Leeds United.
I don't think Frank will be there. No. I don't think Frank will be there when we play him. I genuinely don't. Abramovich is going to have no sentiment whatsoever when he realises that all the money he's spent is getting wasted. Yeah. He doesn't spend that much money without being a title challenge. And just to clarify my position, Chelsea have the makings of an excellent side. Frank Lampard is only Chelsea manager because of his Chelsea legendary status. And don't get me wrong, one hell of a phenomenal footballer, but I can't help but feel he's one hell of a fraud as a coach. All he did at Derby was rely on his, massive loan players that he got in, Harry Wilson, Mason Mount. This idea that he sprung some tactical nous against us in that playoff semi-final, it proved exactly how much tactics he knew, because he lined up exactly the same against Villa in the playoff final as he did against us in the semi-final, and ultimately ended up losing it. It just astounds me that he gets any sort of plaudits. It's so transparent, but in a kind of way, I want Chelsea to keep him, because if they get somebody in there who half knows what they're doing, they'll be a decent side, and they'll be good.
It's cringy, guys, listening to Sky spoon feeding excuses and in the post match trying to explain the reasons why he isn't getting the best out of Havertz, etc. Because he's the media's baby, and of course he's bloody family work for Sky, for feck's sake, in Jamie Redknapp. Do you know what I mean? So they can only give him excuses for so long. I'm with you, mate. I think he's just inept. I know Oscar feels the same as well, don't you, bud?
Oh, 100%. I think you've got Jamie Redknapp on there. I think if they lost the game 6-0, mate, he's not going to start criticising his cousin, isn't it? Is it cousins?
Yes, his cousin, yeah.
Cousin. He's not going to start saying, oh, yeah, he's shit, isn't he? It's just not going to happen. But, at the end of the day, it's funny. They can love Solskjaer and Lamps all they want, but I'm happy with it. Guys, mate, it's cringy as I don't know what, but let it carry on for me, and it keeps them in the job. No problem at all with that.
Well, against Liverpool, for example, he's assembled a squad over 200 million. They're still not done. I've seen them linked to Declan Rice today, which is going to cost them 30 to 50 mil. So, and he's going to be the answer, apparently. But assembling all that squad and then putting 11 men behind the ball against Liverpool and not having a go. If that was my team and my manager, I'm like, hang on a minute, you spent all this money here, you're not even having a go. At least we know with Bielsa, and our squad is nothing in comparison to that Chelsea 11 when it's out there. And we went and fucking pushed Liverpool, do you know what I mean? It just shows that for me, just how much of a knob he is. But yeah, that's that. But I tell you what, I want to touch on Everton. Everton, great start under Ancelotti this season. Obviously, I think James Rodriguez looks different gravy. Every time he picks up the ball, he just looks class. I've actually just been reading a thread before I did this that was done by someone with a Tony Cruz picture, but it's basically saying it's a myth that James Rodriguez did poor in La Liga because they just put all his stats up. He's some player, isn't he? I know, Oscar, you're in down that neck of the woods. What's the general Everton feeling at the minute?
They are really starting to. I think start of the season they had a pre-season friendly with a 3 down after 10 minutes against Blackpool, and kind of ever since that they've made all these signings. Since that game, and I think they're really confident. I'm seeing Scum, Chelsea, Tottenham not made the best of starts. You never know. In terms of that 4th place, does seem quite open at the minute. I think these 2 teams here tonight, I think they're definitely going to be top 4 for me, and then probably City as well. And it kind of leaves that 4th place. pretty open, European football, Ancelotti. And then I do think they were a little bit lucky on Saturday. That penalty decision. I thought it was a really good game on Saturday.
Yeah, it was.
Really good game. That both teams went for it, and I think Palace are done too. Think they can get a point from it, but I think Everton have shown they can win ugly too. The back four seems better. Calvert-Lewin's on absolute fire.
Yeah,
Richarlison's always a threat. That front three: Rodriguez, Calvert-Lewin, Richarlison can beat anyone. On the day. So I'd give him a real chance. And obviously, Alan.
I was just going to say, great signing in there, isn't he? Great signing. What do you make to Everton, Gaz?
Yeah, I was going to bring up that point about Alan. To be honest, I think he'll probably not get the plaudits that James Rodriguez will get because he's a defensive-minded player, if you like. But I've been really impressed with him. I think he's probably, for me, their pick of their signings at the minute. And it'll get drowned out because of Calvert-Lewin scoring goals and James Rodriguez having such an influence as it goes. But I think Alan just providing him a little bit of security to allow them to play, can't go unnoticed, really. And I think he's been a great signing. And the thing is, as well, Ancelotti's done that thing is he's brought players in who we know he can trust. So he's brought in Rodriguez and he knows he can get the best out of him. And he's brought in Alan knowing he can get the best out of him as well. And do you know what? They've started on a bit of a crest of a wave. The interesting bit will come when, maybe they are on the end of a result, odd result, and see how they fare from that. But so far, I've been really impressed. I mean, Calvert-Lewin looks top class, fox in the box, isn't he, at the moment? Everything seems to fall to his feet, and he can put it in the net. And so I've been really impressed with him, and I'm glad. It freshens it up a little bit. It freshens up that top six. From just your Arsenals and your Chelseas and your Man Uniteds and your Man Cities and your Liverpools. And, it's nice to see a Leicester and an Everton in and around it and Wolves and just freshening it up a little bit and keeping it exciting. And Everton are that, I think, this year. They're very good to watch.
Yeah. Class.
Imagine.
Go on.
Imagine Ancelotti in charge of Chelsea or Scum Squad, with that attacking talent, what he'd do with that team. He's getting pushing for the title, European trophies, with that team. So, you look at that and you think, you never know if Scum or Chelsea sack Thingy early, maybe they might look to someone like that, an experienced old fox like him.
What do you think to Pochettino though? He's got to be the next, hasn't he? Surely he's waiting now.
They like robbery. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and Frank Lampard are managing top 6 clubs, and Poch, Wenger, people like that are out of work. It's absolute daylight robbery, that for me.
Do you think so? What's going on with Wenger then?
Because I thought he was football at PSG.
I thought he was done or something. No,
something. I don't know. Not sure.
I think he still wants. I think he still wants an international job. I think he's holding out for the France job, to be honest. Yeah, and I think is it PSG? Is that director of football? Yeah, I mean,
he's probably still trying to unzip that subs jacket.
It's brilliant.
It's trapped in the subs jacket. He can't get out of it. That's why he can't get another job.
Absolutely brilliant. Yesterday as well, obviously crazy result. We had Corey on from the West Ham Way the other day, last Friday, and I was absolutely hammering him. I was saying, that West Ham were going to go down, etc. But what a turn up for the Bucks yesterday. Jared Bowen getting on the score sheet as well, 4-0 against Wolves. How surprising. I don't think anyone would have seen that coming, would they?
No, I mentioned earlier about Wolves. I think Wolves are a good side. It's just one of them freakish results that pop up every now and again, innit? And everything that kind of went for West Ham went their way, didn't it? And, some good finishes in the game and ultimately Wolves had nothing to answer back to it. And it's just I think it's just a freak result. I still think West Ham will struggle if I'm honest.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can't knock that as a result yesterday.
No. What do you make to the fact that David Moyes wasn't actually at the game, Oscar? And
scored 9, conceded 1 since he got COVID, just because they beat all 5-1 in Thingy. So I think I want him back, mate. They probably scored more goals without him than since he took it over. But they were really good, yesterday, West Ham. And I just thought Wolves. I was amazed how bad Wolves were. And Semedo made his debut at right back with his support from Barcelona for 35 mil. He struggled. He did not look at it at all, to be fair. And he's got big shoes to fill with Doherty, leaving them in terms of offering, stuff going forward. But Wolves just weren't great. But Wolves will come back. Wolves have got so much quality in that team. Jimenez, Neves, Moutinho, they'll bounce back. And West Ham, I agree with guys. I still think it's way too early to get too carried away with West Ham. One result at the end of the day. Put the number one together, number 2 or 3 together. You never know. But I still think West Ham, you look at parts of that team, I think people like Declan Rice, if he's a £50 million footballer, then I'd hate to see what a £10 million footballer is.
Maguire went for 80, for God's sake.
Well,
let's not forget that. It's absolutely crazy, isn't it? But I know you have both mentioned West Ham there for your pick. See, my pick, other than West Brom and Fulham, is going to be Newcastle. They were very lucky against Tottenham. Obviously, Gaz touched on it earlier. Dyer, I mean, how is it a penalty? I do not fucking know. He's backs to the ball and he's headed the ball. It's absolutely crazy. And I think even Steve Bruce came out and said, it's ruining the game. They cut to the stands and Mike Ashley was sat there clapping like a seal with a big grin. And I was like, you cannot be happy with that, mate. You've just basically nicked a point, literally stolen a point. Mourinho was fuming. But yeah, I look at Newcastle and a lot's been made of Callum Wilson. All great signing. We should go after Callum Wilson. I'm not a big fan. I don't think he was scoring hatfuls before. Bournemouth got relegated, for God's sake. I mean, what do you make to Newcastle and Steve Bruce?
Yeah, they've always got the Ashley thing hanging over them, haven't they? And the fact that they want new ownership and the fans are not particularly behind the club. And yeah, I mean, Ryan Fraser's getting some hammer lately off Simon Jordan on TalkSport about his the way he went about things. And on the face of things, Callum Wilson and Ryan Fraser should improve Newcastle, but I think it's probably a deeper issue than them, to be honest. And I kind of just feel if they're on the receiving end of a couple of bad results, it'll turn and it'll be hard to dig himself out of that no matter what.
Yeah, no, I mean, did you see the game? Oscar,
yeah,
I was expecting. Go on, mate.
Carl Darlow, what a game he had. I mean, some of the saves he made. You forget about people like him, but I agree with guys. They could have lost that game 4 or 5 yesterday. Kane just wasn't on it yesterday. And it's rare you see Kane missing chances, and Son wasn't quite on it either. And you've always got a chance when they're not on it. But again, you're going to see Newcastle lose games heavily this season because they can't keep the ball. No one can really pass the ball in that midfield for me. We talk about John Joe Shelby. I mean, turns up John Joe Shelby 2 or 3 times a season, and he's absolutely unbelievable. To be fair, he's absolutely unbelievable. And you look at the other games; he's completely rash. He's diving in all over the place. He gets bookings after about 10 minutes, and then he can't make a tackle after that for the next 80. And I don't know. I just look at Newcastle and think, yeah, Fraser and Wilson might just keep them up. That kind of link up. And obviously you've got people like Sam Maximum. I'm not sure how you pronounce it. Sam Maximum. He's a decent player, but again, just so many inconsistent players in the team. And yeah, I think Newcastle did all right last season, but they're pretty bad to watch. If I was a Newcastle fan, it's bad enough having Ashley. Well, the worst thing's having Ashley, and then when you see the team completely part the button, I'm not being fully Tottenham. You can have a go at their centre backs. You got to have a go at Tottenham. When you're playing them, you can't just sit back and wait for Son or Kane to score. You got to play go more at him like Everton did, really, and that's the only way you beat Tottenham, really, for me. But yeah, another day, 99 times out of 100, Tottenham absolutely smashed Newcastle in that game, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, whenever you mention St. Maximan, all I ever think about is that guy when he got his chopper out at the game. I swear to God, it was the funniest thing ever. Do you see him?
But the thing is, right, what runs through your mind, right? I am that happy. I'm getting lad out. Sod it. What part in life is that a thing?
Yeah, man.
I'm worried about when he gets his lad out. Other times, weddings, christenings, bar mitzvahs, I don't know, Christmas Day, somehow with chopper out. You know what I mean? Honestly, don't get me wrong. If you were packing a baby's arm holding an apple, I could understand. But well. Anyway, let's not talk about choppers too much.
Yeah, it was. I just remember I was It was so funny. But yeah, brilliant. I mean, guys, what did you make? What do you make to the Gareth Bale signing at Spurs?
I've got my good mate at work. He's a Spurs fan. He's a Cockney who's moved up to Sheffield, and we often discuss football. Not too often, but we do discuss football. And he was a little bit dubious about the Bale deal coming back. He was a little bit like, I'm not sure. It depends what Gareth Bale you get back. If you get Gareth Bale that comes back wanting to prove a point that that Zidane froze him out at Real and he's still the top player he were when he first went there, then I think they've got a great signing. If you get the disenfranchised Gareth Bale that comes back like we saw at Real Madrid and all he's bothered about is knocking golf balls down a green all day, then it looks like a massive waste of money. But on the face of things, he improves Tottenham, I think. But it's, again, how long is it going to take him to get up to speed? I mean, when was the last time he played football? It feels like 1998 or something stupid. But I don't know. On the face of things, looks like a good deal. It's like one of them football manager deals when you look through free transfers and you spot some players in there that used to play a bit and you think, oh, I'll have one of them. And then the Brock all the time. I don't know. I want him to be good. I want him to be good. Tottenham, again, I feel like they're a bit of a team in transition. I feel Mourinho's still trying to get his point across in the way he's going about things. And I think the most sort of striking thing with that is he looks like he's going to bomb Dele Alli. And Dele Alli possibly might move on. I had a little wonder, if because it's been talked about he might go abroad. I wonder if we might be some way linked to Dele Alli going abroad. I wonder if we sign Coulson and he goes to Bayern, possibly. I'm not sure, but that's not real, by the way. Before people start writing in articles and says that podcaster says. No. It's probably, to be fair, it's probably a lazy link. All the things that we complain about, I'm doing right now. But I mean, I want Spurs to be good. I want them to freshen up that top 4 and 5, and I want them to have a good go. But they just don't look like ever getting the shit in gear, do they? I think midfield wise, the kid they got from Southampton, Gineppo.
Yeah.
Gineppo, yeah. Is it Gineppo? Højbjerg, sorry. Yeah. Højbjerg and Winks together just don't work for me. The two crab-like, it's sideways or it's backwards. There's no incisiveness. When they play Lo Celso, they get a little bit more incisiveness. But, yeah, I mean, I'd like him to start Bergwijn as well. I think he gives them something a bit different. And, if you had Bergwijn on one side, Son on the other, and came through the middle, that's, as good a front three that you'll see in Premier League. But it just doesn't seem to be working behind that, does it? Behind them players just doesn't seem to work.
He's not someone that excites you, is it? That Højbjerg signing for me. I think it's gash personally.
He's like a richer Neil Kilkenny.
Yeah,
like sideways and backwards. That's about as much as you get out of him.
Sure. Do you know what? Am I wrong for saying? But I don't mind Mourinho.
The documentary changed me a little bit.
I don't. What, for good or bad?
Yeah, for the good. I always thought he was a bit of an arrogant turd, but like watching the documentary, what he's like around the players and stuff. And do you know what? He seems like a good egg. He's probably a little bit misunderstood and just plays up to it a bit. But
what was it? Which player is it when he goes up to him and says, is it Kyle Walker-Peters? Is it Walker? Is it Peters? And he goes, Walker-Peters. I was like, oh, fucking hell.
Who else is it as well? He talks about somebody's name getting mispronounced as well. And he says my name always gets mispronounced. People call me Jose or Jose, but I'm not Argentinian. And I was just like, fucking hell, what are you on about? Like, surely you should be making them do doggies or something, not pronouncing names, But yeah, I like him. I like Spurs as a club in a funny kind of way. I don't know why, but they just don't seem to be able to get the shit in gear. It'd been interesting if they'd have managed to win that Champions League final. It would have been different for them, but.
Yeah, it's true.
Because possibly Poch should have still been there, but we'll see.
Yeah, I have to see. But we've got like I say, I like to keep it down to an hour. I think we've touched on enough of the Premier League games. I just want to ask you boys. Obviously, we've now got almost a week. I would say about a week. Is it a week dead on till the transfer window shuts? Let's have a look. It is. It's dead on a week. So this time, there'll only be 3 hours left of the window this time next week. I come to you first of all, Oscar, because Gaz is in the know, so we'll let him stay to the end.
Stop saying that.
I'm only joking. I know he hates it, you see. But yeah, Oscar, what and who do we bring in between that? In 7 days' time, what's this squad? I mean, I don't think we're going to see any exits personally. We might see a couple go out on loan. But in terms of incomings, what happens for you in these next 7 days? Guys, get your comments in as well, and I'll flash them up.
I think it feels like, again, purely lazy links this. But it feels like the central player is the first one we're looking at. Whether it's number 10, it's Kuzan, whoever it is, that feels like the priority at the minute. And then the additional one feels like the wise player, like a James, a Campbell. It just feels like it's going to be, hopefully, two of them, one each. I think it'll be 2 signings, hopefully, number 10 and a winger. And I'd be happy enough with that, mate. I think the only thing, if you want to be uber critical of business-wise, is maybe a backup keeper and getting rid of Kiko. But we can't have everything. That'd be the only other thing I'd look at. But other than that, I think you've got to say it's a pretty much a 10 out of 10 window. If we get those 2 players as well, we've strengthened our squad. If no one's left, you've kept everyone in place, everyone's happy, got a solid bench, and you can't really ask for much more than that. And yeah, I'd have to say it's one of the best windows, if not the best window of my lifetime, to be honest. I'd probably have to go back to the David O'Leary kind of era when we were just splurging money like I don't know what. I'd have to say it's an absolutely sensational window. If we do get someone like Kuzan and James or Campbell or something like that, other options out wide. But Gaz is going to tell us who we're going to sign anyway. He's going to give us a quick exclusive now.
He's going to know. Go on, Gaz. Give some meat on the bones, my man.
I don't know where you get this idea that I've got any meat on any bones. I think we'll do Kuzan. I think we'll definitely do him. It looks very much like it's possibly on. I think Phil said today that all parties are kind of agreed. It's just haggling over the fee. So I think we'll do that.
Am I right in saying, Gaz, he's agreed a 5-year deal? We're just trying to sort out the fee. Is that
apparently
right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Just reading the reports on Twitter, Yeah, I think we'll do that. I can't help but feel like we'll get a winger in a bit left field. Nobody who's been mentioned. Not Captain Kirk at Utrecht. Not Todd Cantwell. Not Dan James. I won't be surprised if we got a left field one from somewhere. But you can see the logic in the Cantwell because he can play out wide, he can play in the 10. So you can see the logic if it was to be him. I've got a sneaky suspicion, feeling that we might see a keeper come in if Kiko does find his way away from the club. This calf injury seems to have been rumbling on a little bit too long for me. It's starting to look a bit sus. But again, I don't know for sure. That's just a feeling. But no, I think if we get a winger and a Croissant, I'd be quite happy that I think this window's gone well for us.
It'd be an unreal window, let's be honest, wouldn't it? If we look back and, Rodrigo, Koch, you couldn't ask them what Llorente, forget about. And then obviously this Kuzan, I mean, I've seen a lot of Germans really surprised the fact that that's going to happen. So it's one that excites me. But then I also say, how much money have Leeds got? We've not actually spent that much, have we? To be fair.
Is Damari Gray playing at Leicester?
I saw a bit of a mention in the chat before about Damari Gray. I mean, another one I've heard about, again, little bits and pieces, rumours, was Angus Gunn was mentioned right at the start of the window. Again, maybe, he's not playing at Southampton. I don't think he's even on the bench at Southampton at the weekend. So, I don't know, maybe go back in for him. I don't know. But I don't think he's as good as Meslier, to be honest. I really don't think that at all. But at least, if Meslier did get injured or suspended, we wouldn't be just basically... I mean, that'd be unthinkable, wouldn't it? Coming in for a league
Capriel even.
I mean, I feel safer with Capriel, to be honest. The thought of Garcia coming in against Man City or Liverpool or something like that, it's just...
carnage, wouldn't it?
It would be a riot.
Capriel made a great save today against Sunderland, by the way. Just chucking that in there.
Oh, Capriel, yeah. Well, Sam Greenwood got an hat-trick, didn't he? Looks some player.
Class,
Obviously, Geldart and that as well. The future's bright. The future's Leeds. I was going to say Orange then, but that's no fucking relevance whatsoever. But you mentioned Damari Gray as well, mate. Any bits there, or is that just...
No, mate. I spent, when we keep seeing Dan James and you look at the attributes of Dan James, tricky, fast winger. You look at Damari Gray, got similar attributes. I don't know. There's no in it. a name, when you sit there on an evening thinking, oh, we're going to go for, who fits the bill, who's not playing, who might be available. Damari Gray, is his attitude right? Would he work in a Bielsa system requiring him to graft? I'm not so sure, but when he broke through at Birmingham a couple of years ago, and when he first went to Leicester, he looked a player, but then obviously Harvey Barnes overtook him at Leicester. So I don't know. I do think we'll get a surprise winger, but I'm not sure who it'll be.
Do you think we're done on Kent?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. I just found it strange that we went in with 10 and then nothing else. Like, what about 12?
I think it might have been a test the water type thing.
Yeah. And maybe they've gone no way, not a chance. Like,
no, maybe they've gone like 15, and you go. I mean, there's a famous bit in Bielsa's book in the I forgot what the book's called now, the Madness of Bielsa, History of Madness of Bielsa or something. And he mentions in there how he signed a player. He wanted to sign a player. He rang the player up. The player wanted to come. The club said, we want to sign him, but we think he's only worth this amount. Anyway, they paid more for him. Bielsa brought him to the training ground and pointed out the fact that he wasn't worth the money that they'd paid for him. I remember
reading this.
Yeah, so, I don't know if it's the case that Leeds have gone, right, 10 million for Kent, gone back to Bielsa, Orta's gone back to Bielsa and said, right, they're not budging on 10, they think 15, and Bielsa's gone, no, it's not worth 15, move on to the next one. You don't know, do you? I don't know.
No, that's true.
I'm purely being hypothetical. I'm just trying to think of reasons why, if we desperately wanted him, why would not go back and go again.
Yeah.
But again, you don't know what's going on. I mean, we're getting to that time at window, aren't we, where our name will be used to move a lot of players on, and Leeds will be wanting to do things under the radar. I mean, they've not really commented on Couson today because they'll obviously want to try and get it done without alerting other clubs' availability, and they've done that really well over the last 2 or 3 years, managed to get players in without the whispers getting out. So not so much this year, by the way, but I just got a sneaky feeling that we'll see a Dan James or a Dan James type player coming for that left-sided cover, and I don't know who it'll be.
Good times. One thing's for certain is, and it has been a lot under Radrazani, unless maybe not the first window, but they've always been good windows for me. I don't think apart from that first one, have we really looked at it and ended up worse off, like if we think back to previous where don't go to bed just yet and all that shite. We just used to lose our best players. At least we know now, these 7 days are going to be enjoyable as a Leeds United fan. I personally hope it rumbles on till the 5th so that we finally have that deadline date. I got envious of seeing bringing people in on the final day, and I'd be sat there thinking, we're fucking not doing it, man. We're going to get cuts to Ellen Road to Thorpe Arches, players come in and out of the thing. I just want it to roll on to the 5th, but we'll tie this up. Gaz, I'm going to let Gaz tell you where he can find you, etc. But what I have done, guys, is put Gaz's YouTube channel in the description below. So if you aren't already, go to that YouTube and make sure you subscribe. Because they should have a lot more subscribers than what they have. There's some great interviews there. Obviously, they do the watch-alongs as well as us guys. And I assume you'll be getting the German guy on as well for like the Cousons thing and stuff like that, Gaz?
Yeah, I spoke to Alex Schaefer, who obviously works Bundesliga with, and he said he'd be happy to come on when something's a bit more concrete. Obviously, don't want to waste his time talking about something that's not going to happen. So yeah, when it does happen, I'll be speaking to Alex in Cologne. Obviously, works for the Bundesliga, so he'll come on and give us the dealo on Couson when it does happen. Yeah,
man. So make sure you check them out. And of course, where else can we find you, Gaz?
Yeah, so Talking Shut, obviously on Twitter at Talking Shut, Facebook, that we constantly keep saying we're going to get on top of and do more stuff on there, but we never get around to it because essentially it's just me and old Ben who manage the social media. So we should really have a little bit more strategy with the social media, but we'll try. So yeah, check us out there. Obviously, record on a Wednesday night live at 6:30, and it's available to download on all good and some shit podcast providers. So yeah, get amongst it.
Make sure you do get amongst it. I mean, we both listen to it, Gaz. Obviously, Gaz does. He listens to himself back, man. But yeah, no. But me and Oscar, listen, man, it's class. We've been on ourselves. I mean, if you're watching this, you know Gaz anyway, so I feel like I'm just talking rubbish, but I just wanted to give him the opportunity to, if you don't listen to it, Then do. I'm rambling
Listen.
now. I'm talking shit.
Yeah, if you expect highly polished thing, maybe don't come listen to it. But
No.
if you just want 5 mates talking like you're in a boozer, and sometimes there is some beer flowing, get amongst it.
Yeah, man, it's always a good laugh. So thank you everyone who's tuned in. This week we will have your previews. We'll have a chat with a Manchester City fan at some point discussing the game on Saturday. We'll have your watch along. We'll have Before the Whistle Blows as well, episode 3. So make sure you join us for that as well, because we really enjoy doing that, don't we, Oscar?
Certainly do.
Yeah, I'll see you in a bit. So thank you everyone for tuning in. Thanks, guys. Thanks, Oscar. Peace.